Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story.
Life takes you to unexpected places and you meet unexpected people. Through a series of bad decisions, Peter owes money to Wesley, the owner of a local store. Peter berated himself for falling into Wesley's trap. He had no way out, and he reluctantly agreed to act in adult films to pay off his debt. To his surprise, he met Kiera. Kiera was older. Peter suspected she was as old as his mother. He knew nothing about her except that she was married. It was her husband who owed Wesley a gambling debt. Peter wondered how Wesley had convinced Kiera. Apparently, she is very annoyed that she took part in films to pay off her husband's debt. Peter also knew that she did it behind her husband's back. Kiera seemed as surprised as Peter when she met someone barely out of his teens. Like Peter, she assumed she was meeting someone her age. Kiera was beautiful despite her age. That was the only positive in this mess. Peter looked good too. He got the impression that Kiera enjoyed it as much as he did when they got into it. Peter did not have a girlfriend. None of his roommates had girlfriends. Girls have always been a hot topic. It was a strange feeling to go through everyday life and know that you were meeting and spending time with someone you hardly knew. He did not tell his roommates about his problems or how he solved them. He learned his lesson from Wesley and tried to cut down on his expenses by not going out as often. His friends made fun of him when he began to refuse to meet with them and stayed at home. His friends laughed and said that he would never find a girlfriend if he stayed at home all the time. Peter found it ironic how his friends teased him. He was relatively certain that he was the only one of them spending time with someone, and he wasn't doing it by choice. Wesley called the next week and said they had to cancel. Wesley, as usual, spoke very trivially. He said that now is the wrong time of the month for Kiera, and it is useless to make a film. They agreed to meet next week. Peter was thankful for the interruption. He still did not know how he felt about the whole thing. At least Kiera seemed to be a nice person, but anyway, he dreaded going there. The next week, when the time came, he put on different clothes. He arrived at the store before Kiera. Wesley was in high spirits. He said the last film was a success and people were clamoring for more. "Maybe I'll do you a favor and you'll be rich like a movie star," Wesley chuckled. Kiera arrived before Peter could answer. She looked good. The weather was warm and she was wearing a beautiful summer dress. She had a big bag with her again, but Wesley said the dress was perfect and she didn't need to change. Peter and Kiera entered the room with the bed and waited for Wesley to close the shop. As always, we started with a conversation. It was still awkward. They had done this twice already, but they were still strangers. Wesley filmed everything on his camera, moving around them and giving directions. He made them undress each other. He said it was fine with variation. Otherwise, people would be bored watching movies. "Come on, Peter. I know you like her. Do whatever you want with her." Wesley encouraged him. Peter could not say anything against it. Wesley gave them instructions and they followed them. Wesley moved as usual and videotaped them. Kiera really pleased him. Peter had been with a girl before who did this, but she wasn't even close to Kiera when it came to this kind of skill. Wesley made them change positions and please each other. Peter groaned. He had never felt anything like it. His hand reflexively went to the back of her head and held her. The sensations were incredible. He could hear Wesley cheering them on. He zoomed in on her face with the camera. She pulled back, sighing as he released her head. He was afraid he had been too rough holding her, but soon she was pleasing him again. It was incredible when she did it again. He moaned and tried to please her as well. He felt her shiver in response. Peter was excited when Wesley finally had enough, and Kiera looked the same when she turned to look at him. Wesley forced Kiera to be on top. Then they changed positions again, and again Kiera put up less resistance than last time. Wesley was there with a camera and recorded everything. Peter sat down heavily on the bed next to Kiera, who was lying down. Wesley told them to kiss, and it was over. "Could you deliver me the paper?" Kiera asked Peter. Peter was confused as he searched for the paper in Kiera's bag. Among the clothes, he found a roll of toilet paper. He handed it to Kiera. He sat back down and looked at Kiera and how she was trying to clean up the mess he had made of her. "You really come buckets," Kiera complained when she saw him looking. He smiled at her. Peter took her bag a second time as she finished straightening herself. He handed her one and kept the other. "I drank thirsty." They looked at each other. She had him in mind when she brought the 2 bottles, and he took it for granted that one was for him. They shared a moment of understanding. They were still strangers, but they were thinking about each other. "I've never done that before," Kiera said. Peter was surprised that she wanted to share her experience. It felt amazing. Peter said he felt he needed to share something in return. "I hope I did not hurt you when I held your head down." Kiera smiled, looking pleased. No, don't worry, it was even good. She had a beautiful smile. Peter guessed it was true. Kiera looked over at Wesley, tinkering with his camera. Let's get dressed and get out of here, she told Peter. They dressed in silence, except for when Kiera asked him to fasten her dress. It was a difficult gesture, and Peter was once again excited. Same time next week, Wesley shouted after them when they left. They had not said anything to him when they left. Both felt they had nothing to say to him. They stood by the shop looking at each other. Kiera spontaneously threw her arms around him and kissed him. What was that for? Peter asked, surprised. For being a good boy, she replied. Weasley was the worst type of man to make me do this, but you made it easy. You made it easier for me as well. Peter replied, feeling they were in this together for the first time. Kiera kissed him again and then let go. See you next week, she said. She turned on her heel and walked away. Peter looked after her before he turned on his heel and walked in the other direction. Peter felt more confident when he went to the store the following week. It was the fourth time. He and Kiera happened to arrive at the same time, and he held the door for her. Wesley sat at the counter and nodded toward the back room. They went there and waited. Are you okay? Kiera asked. Yeah, sure, Peter replied. And you? Fine, she replied. She smiled at him, looking shy. I feel less nervous today. Peter looked at her. He realized that talking with her made him feel better. I feel less nervous as well. He told her truthfully. She gave him one of her beautiful smiles. Wesley came in through the door, rubbing his hands together. Hey guys, he said with an enthusiastic look. Did you bring the right clothes? Peter waited patiently while Kiera showed Wesley what she had brought. I think it's great, he said when she finished. Put on a short skirt and a tank top. Give up the other. He ordered her. Then he took up the camera and lighting. Kiera hesitated for a moment, then began to dress. Wesley was still busy with the camera, but Peter watched her while she did it. Peter found it just as pleasurable as the last time he had watched Kiera get dressed. You look great, Wesley exclaimed when he was ready with his camera. And you have changed your clothes, he added to Peter with a snicker. Not that anyone cares. Wesley took a camera and directed Kiera to stand by a wall. He started taking pictures of her. What's that for? Wondered Kiera. Your movies are getting to be popular. We need better covers to put them on display, explained Wesley. Peter, take off your sweater and stand behind her, said Wesley. Peter did as he asked. Wesley took more pictures. That's it. Kiera, turn your head and kiss him. Kiera turned her head and kissed Peter. No, not like that. Think really. Wesley is the director. Massage him too. Eventually, Wesley was satisfied and took his video camera. All right, I think we will have a change of scenery today. Let's go into the shop. Wesley wanted them to act. He wanted Peter to be a board clerk and Kiera to be a frustrated housewife who wanted fun. Kiera was hesitant at first, but then agreed with Wesley's idea. They were terrible at acting, and it ended up being as terrible as any movie Peter had ever seen. But Wesley seemed happy. He wanted Kiera to play with the appliances, and for the first time, she flatly refused what Wesley wanted. They argued, and Peter preferred to stay out of the way. Later, they reached some kind of agreement. They got rid of their clothes. Peter thought she looked incredibly beautiful. Wesley made them massage for a long time. Wesley ordered them to move to the table and work on it. I forgot protection, Kiera exclaimed. Peter, it's dangerous. Get it out of my bag. Without protection, it won't work. Wesley interjected. Wesley, this is dangerous. He can't do it. He can pull out like last time. It will work, Wesley maintained. I don't like it. Kiera looked doubtful. Kiera looked dejected and did not reply. Wesley got a big grin on his face. I knew you were going to see it my way. Wesley raised his camera again. Come on, kid, let her have it. Kiera didn't protest when Peter started the process a second time. She was tense, and Peter expected that. This is very unusual, she moaned. Peter felt her more than ever. Yeah, that's it, Wesley encouraged, capturing the action with his camera. Peter, show us what you can do. Peter obeyed. Oh, Kiera wheezed. She grabbed the edge of the counter for support. Peter built a stable rhythm. He held her tightly in his hands. It was at the perfect angle. Wesley went around the table and grabbed everything. Peter felt Kiera shiver. Their eyes met, and she had a pleading look on her face. Neither Peter nor Wesley could miss her pleasure. She screamed loudly and began to tremble. Keep it up, Kiera. Wesley perked up and moved closer, capturing her face on camera. The air was knocked out of Kiera as she pulled away after the pleasure. Peter let her go. Kiera's eyes had a kind of stunned look. Oh my God, she breathed. Come on, Peter, now it is your turn. Wesley urged him on. He didn't have to ask twice. Peter took a quick and heavy step. She moaned in protest, but was too weak to stop him. That's it, Wesley reasoned. When you're close to finishing, I want you to pull out and walk around the counter to her head. Get her face dirty. Peter soon felt that the end was near. Kiera was mostly passive. He then followed Wesley's instructions. "Yeah, that's it," Wesley encouraged, moving closer with the camera. "Hold her head with one hand." Kiera stared at him with wide eyes. He grabbed a fistful of her thick hair. He enjoyed it and soiled her. He had never seen a girl's face before, but he had seen it many times in movies. He knew what Wesley wanted. Then he sat down heavily on a chair near the cash register. Wesley pointed the camera at Kiera's face. "Open your mouth, baby. Show us what you got." Peter could not see from his angle where he sat, but apparently Wesley became satisfied. "Kiera, you are a natural," Wesley said after filming some more. "I think that's it for today." Wesley left, and Kiera and Peter remained as they were. "That was unexpected," Kiera said after some time. "What? The way you did it today, it was so powerful." Peter did not know what to say. "I never thought I'd be able to enjoy myself while Wesley was filming." Kiera blushed. "Sorry," Peter said. He did not know why he felt he needed to apologize. Kiera turned her head and looked at him. "Don't regret it. It was great. I can't remember the last time I felt this way." Peter picked up her top from the floor and handed it to her. She used it to wipe her face. She sat up. "How do I look?" she asked. She looked like a mess. There was still a lot of dirt and her makeup was smudged. "You look good." "I don't believe you for a second." She laughed, then her eyes widened. "Oh my God, you're excited again." It was true. Peter didn't understand why he felt this way as he looked at Kiera as he cleaned her face. "Well, forget about seconds. My legs are still shaky from the first round." She got down from the counter. It looked like she tested her legs before trusting them. "Let's dress and get out of here." Kiera had a bottle of water. She shared it with Peter while they dressed. "Excuse me," she said, offering him a bottle. "I only had one bottle at home. I thought that after close communication, this is an unimportant division." Peter drank thirstily and gave it back to her. They ran into each other outside the store. Kiera hesitated for a second, then hugged him. They were kissing. She let go and went on her way without saying anything. They were still strangers.
Subscribe to our channel so that your second C Gaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.